Transcending history and the world, a tale of souls.
Welcome back, YouTubers. This is Richard with you again with a very special episode of Inside the 6th Gen Vault. Today I'm going to be giving a step-by-step tutorial on how to obtain Pokemon only available via trades on the Visualboy Advance GX emulator app on the Nintendo Wii. For this procedure, you will need to be using the Visualboy Advance emulator available through the Homebrew browser. I am playing Pokemon Fire Red, but any will work with this method. And all this must be accessed via an SD card in your Wii. When we examine the SD card on a PC, we find that the game file is saved as a .sav file. The following video will outline how to make the trades possible and return the saved file to your Wii. On the PC end of this modification, we will be using a Game Boy Advance emulator called the VBA Link. See description for download. You will need corresponding ROM for any Pokemon game you wish to do the trade on. First, you need to access the save game on your SD card and copy it. Then, we are going to paste it into a new folder for backup. Here I'm copying the game. Next, you'll see me delete a few old backups of the game, except for one that you can see is titled firered.sa2. We want to keep that one. Unless you do not have one already, you can make one, and I'll tell you how shortly. Next, we're going to rename our file from our Wii emulator to match the VBA Link emulator. And how we're going to do that is we're going to change it from a .sav file to a .sa1 file. Now, I forgot to change the name all the way when I did this, but we will also need to erase the word auto. You'll see me do that here in just 1 second. As I copy the game, I'm about to paste it into the battery folder for my VBA Link emulator. After, of course, I delete a few of the old game files that I no longer need. Now, you'll see me paste the game. And here's where I remembered to erase the word auto. You'll see me rename it again. And we're just going to erase the word auto, leaving just firered.sa1. Now, you can copy the same file and rename it as firered.sa2, but I already had an sa2 file from a previous trade, so I'm just going to use that one. And we are going to take sa2, and copy it. And we're going to paste that in the same folder as our SA1. Now, next we're going to want to load our Visualboy Advanced Link emulator. And the first game is going to load from the SA1 file, so when we open the Pokemon Fire Red ROM, you see that it loaded battery, and it's going to automatically choose the SA1 file. So we run through this intro. And you can see that it's going to load the game from the Wii, just because we renamed the file. So, we'll load that. And then, let's see, make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. We have our Pokemon. You can see the Haunter at the bottom. Now, we're going to want to load the Visualboy emulator a second time. And we're going to open Fire Red again. And this time the battery is automatically going to load from the SA2 file. And you'll see that it's from a much older game. Well, it's from the same game, but it's from a much older progress. And we'll just set the joypad configurations to something other than the other emulator so that we can not be using both at the same time. And we'll load the game. You can see that it's from a much older time. I only have 4 badges from at this point, but it would all work fine. So realistically, you could load the same game and just trade the same Pokemon to the same file, but it's all a matter of changing one of them to .sa1 and one of them to .sa2. So now we're going to locate both of the games into a trade center. You can see that they're getting set up. And before we do anything else, we're going to set up the link in our emulator. And this VBA Link has the option. You're going to choose wireless adapter, even though you're not using a wireless adapter. You're just using your local host. But you choose wireless adapter anyway. Also choose network. You can see it's not network, not single computer. Choose network. And then you're going to go to server and TCP and start that. And then on the other one, you do almost the same thing, a little different. You go to link, make sure the wireless adapter is checked. Settings, network again, but this time you go to client and you type localhost, all lowercase, one word, and then you hit connect. And then you can see one player connected, but we wait for more no. And all players connected. Okay, okay, okay. Now you can set up the trade via wireless connection. And you can see both game files going. They're both named Harry, so it might be a little confusing, but they are 2 different games going at the same time. You can see that one chose to join the group and one's going to become the leader. It doesn't really matter which one, as long as one chooses the other. So become leader, join group, and then you can see that it found Harry. Then we have a Harry group, and then it's going to set up the trade. So both players walk to the desk, and then you can see that we got a trade going. So Pokemon will be traded as Haunter, and we'll just trade that for anything. We're about to give it right back. Alakazam seems nice. We can trade that. Yes. And bam, you can see that they switch places. And what's this? Haunter's going to evolve. Alright, so you saw that. Now after this sequence ends, you can simply just trade back the Pokemon, and I'll be right back with you to show you how to get the file back onto your Wii. So after you have traded all the Pokemon that you want And now's a good time to mention that you can also trade items by giving like a Pokemon a Master Ball. You can trade it to yourself, and then you'll have an extra Master Ball. You can use this to exponentially increase your items. So keep that in mind. You can trade whenever you want on the same file even. So if you have a file that has 2 Master Balls already, just load that one and trade the 2 back to itself, and you'll have 4, and then you can trade whatever you want back and forth to each other. So keep that in mind. But what you're going to do is you're going to want to save the .s1 file specifically, and then you're going to want to copy it back to your backup folder. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to change the name of the S1 file back to auto.sav. And when you do that, it will change the file type. You want to say yes, and it will change it back to the file that your Wii emulator can read. You'll then want to copy it. And before you paste it back into your SD card, this is on my SD card, make sure you delete the one that's already there. You don't want any confusion in pasting, and you'll have to trade all that stuff again. So go ahead and then paste your .sav auto.sav file back into your emulator, and then you can start your Wii up again, and you'll be done. And so here's what the result.
My